Bid rigging. Bid rigging is the manipulation of the bidding process to ensure a specific outcome, often for a bribe. This illegal practice undermines fair competition and leads to inflated costs for public projects. The bid rigging scandal in Japan in 2005 involved construction companies colluding to rig bids for public works projects. Favoritism. Favoritism refers to giving unfair preferential treatment to someone at the expense of others. The college admissions scandal in the United States in 2019 is a notable example. Several high-profile individuals, including actresses Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, were implicated in a scheme to secure college admissions for their children through bribery and falsified athletic records. Bribery. Bribery involves offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting something of value to influence an action. One well-known example is the Walmart Mexico scandal in 2012. Walmart was accused of paying bribes to Mexican officials to expedite building permits and gain other favors. This scandal highlighted how corporations can use bribes to bypass legal requirements and gain unfair advantages. Embezzlement. Embezzlement is the misappropriation of funds or property entrusted to one's care. A notable example is the FIFA scandal in 2015, where officials were accused of embezzling funds from the organization for personal gain. This scandal exposed the deep-rooted corruption within FIFA and led to significant legal and organizational repercussions. Fraud. Fraud involves deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. One prominent case is the Trump University scandal in 2013. Trump University was accused of running a fraudulent education program and settled for $25 million. This case highlighted the misuse of educational institutions for deceptive financial gain. Extortion. Extortion is the act of obtaining something, especially money, through force or threats. A well-known example is Silvio Berlusconi's conviction in 2013. The former Italian prime minister was convicted of tax fraud and extortion. This case underscored the abuse of political power for personal financial benefits. Kickbacks. Kickbacks are payments made to someone who has facilitated a transaction or appointment. The Siemens scandal in 2008 is a major example of this. Siemens AG was involved in a kickback scheme where the company paid bribes to secure government contracts worldwide. This example demonstrates the lengths to which companies will go to obtain favorable treatment. Collusion. Collusion involves secret cooperation for illegal or dishonest purposes. An example is the price-fixing scandal in the auto parts industry in 2012. Major auto parts manufacturers colluded to fix prices, leading to significant fines. This case illustrated how collusion can distort market prices and harm consumers. Graft. Graft is a form of political corruption where funds intended for public projects are deliberately misdirected to maximize benefits to private interests. The Watergate scandal from 1972 to 1974 is a notable example. This major political scandal led to Richard Nixon's resignation and was related to a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and subsequent cover-up. It exposed the misuse of political power for illicit activities. Judicial corruption. Judicial corruption occurs when judges are influenced to make decisions based on personal gain rather than legal merit. Judge Mark Ciavarella's case in 2011 is a prominent example. Known for the Kids for Cash scandal, he received kickbacks for sentencing juveniles to private detention centers. This scandal revealed severe corruption within the judicial system, where justice was compromised for personal profit. Ghost workers. Ghost workers are non-existent employees on the payroll, drawing salaries and benefits. A significant example is the Nigeria ghost worker scandal in 2013, where tens of thousands of ghost workers were discovered on the government payroll. The scandal exposed the widespread fraud in government payroll systems and the substantial financial losses it caused. Overbilling. Overbilling involves charging more than the actual cost of services or products to siphon funds. This practice can result in significant financial losses and misuse of resources. The Halliburton case in 2003 is a notable example, where the company was accused of overbilling for services provided during the Iraq War. Human trafficking. Human trafficking involves exploiting people through coercion, often facilitated through corruption. The Jeffrey Epstein case in 2019 is a high-profile example, where he was involved in exploiting vulnerable individuals. This case highlighted the severe issues associated with human trafficking and the role of powerful individuals in perpetuating such activities. State capture. State capture occurs when private interests significantly influence a state's decision-making processes to their own advantage. A notable example is Hungary from 2010 to the present, where Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government has been accused of state capture. In this scenario, business interests close to the government receive preferential treatment, demonstrating the deep entanglement between political power and private interests. Regulatory capture. Regulatory capture happens when a regulatory agency advances the concerns of special interest groups dominating the industry it regulates. The Volkswagen CO2 emissions scandal in 2015 is an example where Volkswagen installed software in their diesel vehicles to manipulate emissions tests and falsely represent their environmental impact. Another case is the Boeing 737 MAX scandal in 2019, where allegations surfaced that Boeing prioritized profit over safety, leading to 2 fatal crashes. Claims of regulatory capture involved undue influence over the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. Vote buying. Vote buying involves providing material benefits to voters in exchange for their votes. The 2013 Philippine midterm elections were marred by allegations of widespread vote buying to influence election results. This practice undermines the democratic process and leads to unfair election outcomes. Under-the-table payments. Under-the-table payments are unofficial and often illegal payments made to secure or expedite services. The FIFA corruption scandal in 2015 is an example, involving bribery and under-the-table payments for World Cup hosting rights. This scandal revealed the extent of corruption within FIFA and how illegal payments were used to influence major decisions. Political corruption. Political corruption involves the misuse of public office for private gain. An example is Michael Cohen, Trump's former attorney, who pleaded guilty in 2018 to multiple charges, including tax evasion and illegal campaign contributions. This case highlights how political figures can abuse their positions for personal financial benefits. Nepotism. Nepotism is the favoritism granted to relatives or close friends regardless of merit. A notable example is Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, who both held senior advisory roles in the Trump administration. Their positions raised concerns about nepotism and the influence of family ties in political appointments. Cronyism. Cronyism refers to the favoritism shown to friends and associates, especially in political appointments. An example is Chris Christie, who faced accusations of cronyism during his tenure as governor of New Jersey, including the Bridgegate scandal. This scandal highlighted how political allies were given preferential treatment, sometimes at the expense of public interest. Patronage. Patronage involves offering government positions or benefits in exchange for political support. The Chicago political machine is a historical example, where political support was rewarded with city jobs and contracts. This practice showed how patronage can be used to maintain political power and control over public resources. Influence peddling. Influence peddling involves using one's influence in government or connections with authorities to obtain favors or preferential treatment. A prominent example is the lobbying by the NRA in the United States. The National Rifle Association's extensive lobbying efforts have been aimed at influencing gun legislation in favor of the gun industry. This practice shows how powerful organizations can use their influence to sway political decisions. Conflict of interest. A conflict of interest occurs when a person in a position of authority may benefit personally from their decisions or actions. These situations can undermine trust and lead to decisions that favor personal interests over the public good. While there are numerous examples in both the public and private sectors, specific high-profile cases often involve politicians or corporate executives making decisions that benefit their financial interests or those of their close associates. Lobbying. Lobbying is legal in many places, but it can cross into corruption when involving undue influence or bribery. It involves organizations attempting to influence legislators or officials to favor their interests, sometimes leading to unfair advantages and policy distortions. For example, oil companies in the United States have lobbied extensively to prevent environmental regulations that would limit their operations.